All right, you lot, don't forget to give us a follow on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And while you're at it, give us a 5-star rating. Trust me, it really does help us out.
Working for Force India and working for Red Bull Racing. Starting with Force India, the team that is now Aston Martin, what was the kind of culture like there relative to a Red Bull?
The big cash team. Yeah, I used to think of, I still do, but they have changed a bit now that it's Aston Martin. There's a lot more money, and Force India was the best bang for your buck team on the grid. You know, sometimes they were struggling to get points. We got to the point where we were often gathering points. But you had to be very calculated whenever you spent a single pound on any component of the car. So all of their processes were very refined. They couldn't throw a new front wing at the car every weekend. You know, compare that to going to Red Bull back in the day, 2016, 17. We're taking hand luggage. We're taking 2 specs of front wing out to the track to test in P1, compared to Force India. It's like, if you break that front wing, which is the first spec we've had this season, we don't have any more of them. They'd have spares, but that was kind of the contrast. So Force India, this very much, you have to make everything hit, and it might not be the best thing, but we're going to get the most out of it. Whereas Red Bull was like, we got 10 floors, not 10 floors, but we've got lots of different components on the car to find out what works. Force India could not afford that. And there are benefits to both of those approaches, because the super conservative approach means that you understand everything 100%.
Yeah.
Whereas when you scattergun stuff, when you can afford to do it, you may not be able to consume all that information and make all those decisions.
And I guess it must be tough from Red Bull's point of view to keep the standards super high when in the back of your mind, if it doesn't work, we've got 9 more.
Yeah.
Compared to when like everything's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
But they also had, for example, they had more staff to do more analysis and everything else. All their departments were bigger. They had internal manufacturing, whereas Force India had to externally manufacture. So they would send their stuff off to someone else. A lot of these big teams manufacture all their stuff in-house, or most of it. They'll contract some of it. But, that you have a lot of control over the whole process. So it's so different. And it's interesting, just a little bit of an extrapolation, seeing you add money to the Force India recipe, and you throw a regulations change into it, it doesn't necessarily go well right away.
And there's a lot to be said for that, because I think, you look at Mercedes domination, 8 world titles in a row, and you think, it's just because they've got the most money or the most support. But actually, there's everything has to come together, right? But something I wanted to ask you specifically about is a certain Mr. Otmar Safnauer. Because obviously when you were at Force India, he was in charge, correct?
Yes. I used to joke that he was my uncle because we were both American. It's like my uncle hired me. Uncle Otmar.
Little Yankee banter.
Yeah.
What do you make of Otmar? And because I think he's been catching a lot of heat recently, especially after the whole Piastri contract stuff and the Alpine stuff, him coming in, and maybe the words he said about Alonso have maybe contributed to Fernando leaving. Where do you sit with Otmar?
I think Otmar was a key part of that Force India best bang for your buck policy. Like I think he was super solid, and he made that happen. He was a big part of that, because VJ wasn't particularly involved in running the team. He just said yes or no. There was
money.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get it from somebody else and get it.
And here's the money.
Yeah. Everything legally, of course.
Of course.
I think Otmar was one of those people that made Force India excel at being great bang for your buck.
Efficiency was his kind of remit.
Yeah,
but again,
exactly.
throwing money at that situation.
But also, it's like when you go ask Otmar for a raise, he's like,
no.
You come in on Saturday. It's like, I'm already working race weekends, man. Come on.
Don't make me. Well, it's kind of like in football, isn't it? Because you got certain managers who excel in kind of lower
I was literally about to say
Roy Hodgson excels at Fulham.
He'll go in,
chuck him in at Liverpool, and he's fish out of water.
I think it's kind of like, I think it almost depends on the personality of the person as well, and kind of like what they excel in. If they excel under pressure, or they excel in these elite circumstances instead. I guess Otmar is someone who excels in.
But I guess it also depends a bit on the DNA of that person. You've got this personality, right? This person, and then you've got the DNA of the organization that they're running.
Yep.
I think that Otmar Force India thing worked super well. Is Otmar going to change Alpine, I don't know. Like that team is another one of those teams with a even longer history in the sport and in stone. So, you know, that team's gone through so many different changes. Is he going to, you know, make that team a great bang for buck? I have no idea.
Yeah, because I imagine there's more pressure as well.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, you came over from America.
Yeah.
Starting this job at Force India, was Otmar somewhat of a help in sort of introducing yourself into the world of Formula One? I guess.
Not really.
No.
No, he was just like, it was coincidental that the boss of the team was an American dude. I didn't really have too many conversations with him until I was at the track, and then you'd be, you know, you're traveling all the time and you see each other. But